Now we go to Lake Baikal in Siberia, the world's oldest and deepest freshwater lake. It's a major tourist destination, but there's been one major blight, a pulp and paper mill that's been operating right on the shore since 1966, that is, until now. After decades of heavy pollution, the mill has finally been closed. The Russian government is trying to transform the industrial landscape in the wider Lake Baikal region, getting rid of the big polluters to attract more investors and tourists.
For nearly half a century, the pulp and paper mill had been belching out white smoke on the southern bank of Lake Baikal. But that will now recede into history. Constructed in 1966, the mill had long been accused of being a major source of pollution at the lake. But it also served as the biggest employer and a major tax contributor in Baikalsk. It was the main provider of power and heat for the city's 15,000 residents. Thus, fears of possible social fallout had kept it alive until very recently. Russia's state-run Nash Economic Bank's engineering company is tested with the mill shut down. The company's head Dmitry Shaby said the closure was mainly due to financial burdens rather than environmental pressure.
Every month, paper mill generates roughly 50-60 million rubles losses. It's just the main reason. And the second reason, of course, that there is no way to increase upscale capacity, and there is no technology which can provide pure ecological solution for the such production, chemical production of the bleached cellulose, phosphate cellulose.
Halting the plant doesn't mean an immediate ecological and economic lift. The plant now must figure out how to deal with about 6 million tons of toxic waste that has accumulated over decades of operation. Another problem is how to create enough vacancies for the plant's 800 redundant workers, most of whom will now be laid off until new jobs are available.
We right now decided to keep more than necessary labor force at the plant, which right now, with the main product, heat and electricity for the and pure water for the town, Baikalsk. And the second thing, right now there are at least 2,000 jobs, but not in Baikalsk. And workers and people in Baikalsk know about this potential work places, starting from St. Petersburg to Irkutsk. And you cannot convert in one day. You have to clean, first of all, this piece of land in order to convert this into recreation zone. So, but in spite of this fact, we're already, creating new so-called business units on the basis of the existing equipment or assets of this Baikal pulp mill.
To convert the plant is just part of the program. The government has a broader blueprint and overall development of the Lake Baikal area. As the world's deepest and oldest lake, Baikal is known for its natural resources. It contains 1/5 of the Earth's freshwater reserves. It's home to nearly 2,000 species of plants and animals, 2/3 of which cannot be found anywhere else in the world. Its water is also among the clearest. One can see through 40 meters from the surface. The UN World Heritage Site is internationally treasured, so much so that no polluting industrials will be allowed after the area's transformation. As part of the program, the government is firm on establishing a special tourism-based economic zone in the region.
We need to put there something that symbolizes purity. There may be some modern and safe technologies. There are perfect conditions for tourism that could unite other cities. We could open a recreation site or even a gambling zone.
Our main idea to convert this piece of land, to clean it and to convert it into the recreation center. But at the same way, we agreed with the local government, Внешэкономбанк, and highly supported this idea to create not only a recreation zone, but also so-called industrial park, which provide all facilities, small workshops for the needs of this recreation zone. Small food factory, beverage factory, fish processing plant, all these small businesses which can be complementary to the recreation.
To push forward the environmental protection and development plans of Lake Baikal, the Russian government has allocated 58 billion rubles, or just under $2 million in special funds to the area over an 8-year period through 2020. To retain the purity of the water remains a priority.
We need to create comfortable conditions for staying at Baikal and protect the lake from daily trash. We need to make sure all the villages along the Baikal coast have their own wastewater treatment facilities. Another measure we should pay attention to are the ships. There are many small ships on Baikal, and there are no gathering stations for dirty water. My idea was to construct ships that could sail through the waters of Baikal and collect all the dirt and sewage water brought by the ships and vessels. It is possible and it will be in demand.
Besides big funding, the government is also boosting its legal support for the region.
There is a requirement in Russian law that regulates the discharge of different waters into the Baikal. There is also a law on the protection of Lake Baikal. Nowadays in Russia, it is only geographic law. Code on emissions is being drafted. Law on recycling is also being considered. When all these laws are adopted, all the legislative drafting will be adjusted and balanced. I'm sure there will be no difficulties then.
With all its advantages and privileges, the region is not yet mature enough for a quick takeoff of tourism. The industrial base for tourism here is relatively weak. The place is remote and not within the easy or affordable reach of many tourists, and the short summer here can make tourism rather seasonal.
The only minus and plus at the same time is that the tourism season at Baikal is rather short, 2.5 months, July and August, so payback is very small. There are very few construction companies that could afford to build 5-star hotels here. The government understands this, and it has allocated huge money for infrastructure. Today the Baikal harbor has been completed. It has wastewater facilities, special territories, and an embankment. All the necessities have been constructed, so any investor can just come and build a hotel or something like that. Thus, the payback has been significantly improved.
On the one hand, the government has to gain the trust of investors by creating ideal climate for businesses to start up. On the other hand, it has to pass sound judgment on them, making sure that no new coming enterprises will cause a further ecological or financial burden to the region.
Quantitative investment and with the qualitative management. So it's a correlation between big figures and careful analysis. But once again, I think that the Baikal Lake itself is a huge attraction and huge, as we call it, magnet. It's a center of potential center of tourism and recreation.
The Trans-Baikal program is by all means a long-term undertaking, and hopefully, in the years to come, people will see the pearl of Siberia shine with extra luster and vitality.